people have asked me, what about Copilot and the changes that have been evident in Copilot in the last 2 years? Well, the sad news is that, of course, Copilot started off wonderfully 2 years ago, but has since retracted, or it uses a particular word I can't remember, in order to downscale. So, for example, inserting pivot tables dynamically can't happen anymore. But there is a way around that. So I think Copilot or Microsoft want you to do it in another way. So let's just look at a couple of these things and see what Copilot can do. The first thing you've got to be aware of course, is that your autosave is on up here. You see up there, the autosave is on up there. And then that you have Copilot activated. You see over there, Copilot is activated. All right. The other thing is, of course, under File Options, you can see that Copilot over here is indeed activated. Right. Good. So let's go ahead and activate Copilot on the side here and see what it can do. Let's just zoom out a little. Okay, and then activate my panel on the right hand side. Let's have a look at this. All right, so I tried using the microphone for a while. So let's see if it works now. Hello, hello. Aha, I see it's actually working now, so let's try that. All right, so let's click here, and I would always advise click inside that cell where you want the results to occur. All right, so let's go there. Add a function that concatenates column H and column I. So let's see what happens here. It should work. It should work, but you've got to click the Add to Cell option. There we go, simple. So use concatenate uses, okay, that one, Add to Cell. So let's just click that Add to Cell over there, and there it has actually joined the first and the surname over there for me. Okay, without the space, of course. All right. Let's rather undo that, and let's add to cell from another formula. There we go, that's the one I want. So let's go there and add to cell. There we go, it puts a space in between the first and surname. It'll use text join, it'll use concat, it'll use all sorts of things. There's the concat with the space, etc. Using text join over there, so it provides all those options. That's pretty cool. All right, notice that is a formula though. That is not pasted as a value. Okay, just bear that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete column L, all right, over there. And then we have column 2, and I'm going to rename column 2. Over here, I actually did this earlier, all right, column DD. But if you have already formatted as a table, you can just say provide a formula that averages out the, let's say, output of metric tons, which is what I did. It was column D. But remember to always tell Copilot to use absolute references. It does not use that as a default. Okay, it does not use that as a default. So there are a couple of things. Now, if you wanted it to insert a pivot table, it'll simply say, all right, create a meaningful pivot table. It won't do it. It'll give you some ideas, okay, but it will not insert the pivot table dynamically. That's the one thing it's lost. But here, there is a workaround. Okay, so there's the suggestions on pivot table, etc., fishing, etc., the different kinds of pivot table you could actually insert. All right, what it'll show, that's what it'll look like. So it's giving you a whole lot of information, but it's not dynamically inserting it. However, if you want to insert it dynamically, I would suggest you turn Copilot off and you go to Data, and you go and look at Analyze Data over here, and there you will get suggestions. So sum of distribution, etc. It usually chooses, I think, the wrong one. There's the distribution, there's the days at sea over there. So let's just insert that pivot table, and insert pivot table, put it onto a new sheet. And then what we go and do is we, in fact, what we do is we take the fields out we don't want. Okay, we put the fields in. So let's put the site location there. Let's put the date down here. It should create a hierarchy of days. There we go, nice. Let's take quarters out. Quarters out, there we go. Let's take date out as well. So we've just got years and months. That's pretty cool. And then let's put the output in metric tons down there. There we go. So 2024, 2025. There we go. All right, there the site locations, the months. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay? All right, we could insert a power pivot chart right from there. So let's go to a stack pivot chart there, over there. All right, and okay, so there's my stack pivot chart on the different site locations and the output. Looks like Saldanha Bay is the best here. I'm doing this for a fisheries company. Right, pretty good.